Bid Nerds is your daily YouTube car game show, where we predict the online auction results of the most interesting cars on Bring a Trailer, Cars and Bids, Hagerty Marketplace, and more. It's just like the Price is Right game show. Play along and see if you can beat the nerds. Oh, yeah, there it is. Play along and see if you can beat the nerds. I don't know if you can, because we have gotten really good at this. We're all like, every time we're just winners. We just win at this, right, Wade?
I don't know. I think you should change the tagline to "How badly can you beat the nerds?" Because that's how it feels some weeks. Yeah, I gotta say.
I'm just trying to psych myself up and make myself feel better about myself, which is, my self-esteem is very low right now. Even though I beat my old partner, Michael Deeb, on pretty much every single one, I still feel like the nerd herd is killing it. They're beating the living daylights out of us. And Wade, he comes in here. He's the young guy. He beats the crap out of us. Even Mental's winning at this stuff. How you guys doing?
I say, not only do we do this, we dictate the prices of cars nowadays.
That's right. That's right. We are influencers. Something like that. Welcome to Bid Nerds. This is a brand new episode. We're in the Rami Show, the Rami Studio in downtown Las Vegas. It's a big weekend here in Las Vegas. We just finished up with F1. Mental will have to tell you how great it was. And yeah, I don't disagree. I didn't really participate much. Woo! But we're not going to make this an F1 conversation. You can watch a different podcast for that. But Mental, how you doing, buddy? Only take 30 seconds to do your thing about F1. Go ahead.
Doing great. Thanks for tuning in, nerds. At least now we can get our traffic back to normal. Good night.
Vegas is back to normal. That's a good way to put it. That was a good summary. Michael Deeb in San Francisco. How you doing, buddy?
I'll allow myself to introduce myself. Yes. Yeah. I'm good, man. You know, just another day in life. We're packing up here. We're going to be moving north across the Golden Gate Bridge here right after Thanksgiving, and all of this is going away. This has maybe, what's today? Sunday?
Yeah.
So Wednesday, Sunday, and by next Wednesday, this will all be different. I will be the same, but all this will be different.
Only 2 or 3 more episodes for the fisting room, and then that'll be that.
Yeah, and then it'll be the fisting studio. It'll still be fisting. It'll just be different colored walls.
So you're going to be building a whole new studio. All right. Well, look forward to that. All right. Well, what we do on this show, it's like the Price is Right, only with really cool enthusiast cars. We make predictions about cars and what they're going to go for on Bring a Trailer, Cars and Bids, PCAR Market, and Hagerty Marketplace, all that kind of stuff. We make those predictions and we're always wrong, but we always own it. We start every show by going into the predictions from the last episode, and we start with just how wrong we were. What was the first car that we totally mucked up last week? Hit it, Michael Deeb.
All right, Switcher Gary, if you would pull up, please, the 2011 Porsche 911 Carrera S Coupe with a 6-speed manual and 44,000 miles out of Pasadena, California. That is on Bring a Trailer. There it is. Mental, did we ever verify if this seller has sold cars that we've looked at before, or was that just a hot take by you?
It was a hot take because this looks like the same park from that purple one that we went all nuts over, the GTS.
Very good. Okay. In any case, we've had a gentle love affair with the uber rare 997.2 S's with a manual. As JP astutely pointed out, the world was in crisis. Porsche had very little demand worldwide for these cars when the 7.2s were being produced. And thus, finding an S with a manual coupe on our shores winds up being a rare thing. So we covered one the other day. That car was a little bit back of book. And I think it was on Cars and Bids, but I could be wrong. But I thought we'd take another swing at one of these. Here's another basic white, black, manual, reasonable miles, 7.2. Not high spec, but certainly a lot of car for the money. And I thought it was worth taking a look at. So without further ado, jumping right into our bids, I started the bidding off at $74,000 and thus began a trend of us outkicking our coverage. JP came in underneath me at $69,997. Wade took the over on me, covering me at 74,500. And then Mental took the under on JP at 69,699. Our car did, in fact, sell, but for a number that was lower than all of our bids. Our car sold for just $66,156 on 34 bids. Now, 34 bids is a respectable amount of action, but I would think that 6 months ago, this was...
Sorry, got a little feedback there. Sorry, guys.
Yeah. Allow myself to introduce myself.
That was not my fault.
I think 6 months ago, this car would have been worth $75,000, and my bid would have been safe. But the market is soft, even for a rare bird like this. I think this has more to do with a reflection of the market than the spec of this car. But at $66,000, the fact that the car sold means that the seller understood what he had and certainly wasn't looking for too much. Or BAT finally did its job and governed perhaps an over-requested reserve, which is, I'm sure, 9 times out of the 10 always the case. But I'm proud of the fact that they sold it for just $66,000. JP, are you surprised by how low that number is? And do you think it has something to do with the spec, or is this just a reflection of the market like I think it is?
Yeah, I think it's a reflection of the time of year. I mean, honestly, I think regardless of market pressure and everyone talking about the sky falling on car prices and all that kind of stuff, it's November, man. We're a week away from Thanksgiving at the time we're recording this, and when this car sold, I mean, look, no one's really looking to buy sports cars, but when you dig through the results on BAT, not just of this car, of any cars, you're still seeing sales. Like, I've kind of been waiting for the other shoe to drop. You go on to BAT and you click that result tab, and you start going through all the auctions at the end of any day. And usually Sundays are kind of the worst. Like today, before the show, I checked it out, and there were very, very few failed to sells. So I think cars are still selling, and I think that the people that are trying to sell this time of year, they're not morons. They know that it's November, and I think you just got to have realistic expectations. What do you think, Wade?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think if a car is going to sell at this time of year, the seller is very reasonable. They know what they're getting in, and I give Bring a Trailer a lot of credit for making the sale go through. They could have had a higher reserve. They could have done something weird, which we've seen before. I think from our bid perspective, our guesses, we saw a lot of seemingly boring-ish, white over whatevers, Porsches over the last couple of weeks that kind of went beyond our expectations. So I think some of our bids, especially mine, was a little inflated just on the fact that things were going higher than maybe we originally thought. But this is a very reasonable result for a decent car that is a perfectly fine daily driver, but not really the high spec, interesting Porsche that brings a ton of money. But like you said, it's sold, it's going to somewhere else. They got Christmas money. They don't have to deal with the car for another 6 months. I'm sure that they are more than happy. What do you think, Mental?
I'm going to go split the difference in your theories, because also there's a lot going on, and who among our awesome bid nerd herd has not just been bored and looking at stuff on eBay and Bring a Trailer and all that. Now there's other things going on. You got the holidays and everything. So perhaps a portion of your, I'm going to be on here because I'm bored market, and then, I'm going to spend this money on a car, is being distracted elsewhere. So it's a combination of, it's a great car, but not an exciting car, and the time of year.
I will jump in and contest JP's take that things are selling. Twice in the last month, from the 23rd of last month through now, twice we've done a show where 3 of the cars failed to sell. I agree that this time of the year brings lower prices, but I would not say that everything's just swimmingly well and things are still selling. I think there are more FTSs out there based on what I'm looking at. And
the data doesn't hold to that. I mean, yeah, absolutely. There's prices are lowering, but they don't. Look at BAT today. There's 2 FTSs. Yeah, we tend to pick losers because I guess we're a bunch of losers, and we're attracted to that sort of thing. But it's just not happening. The sky is not falling. There was a 964 on PCAR Market last week that went for $130,000. I mean, there's still crazy money is still being paid for cars, and I think that the reserves are catching up, like you said, Deeb. They're being more realistic, but that's just because it's freaking November and people, yeah, okay, fine. The market isn't as strong as before, but 69,000, how much did this car go for?
66.
$66,000. It's a 2011 regular old 911. Yeah, it's an S. Yeah, it's a manual. It's all kinds of nice stuff. But, okay, so a year ago it would have brought maybe 70 something. That's not a market collapse. That's just used car prices, man. It's just November. It's just wintertime. Stop freaking out. I'm the one that freaks out. I'm the guy that's always talking about ready for drinking game, inflation. But there it is. There it is. I did it for all you guys. Did it for all of you guys.
What's the timestamp on that, Mental? That might be a record.
10 minutes and 41 seconds.
Into the first car. Way to go, JP.
There you go. And I don't even think this is an inflationary thing. I think it's just
keeping the
November.
keeping the herd pickled drunk, doing shots, one inflation.
I'm drinking before all of you people. Sunday, I'm working all day.
Christ. Holy shnikes. All right, moving on. Mental, pull up the 1977 Porsche 911 Carrera 3.0 Targa, please. That was also on Bring a Trailer. This is a car that's super rare. This is actually the descendant of the 2.7 MFI car that was only sold on the European shores. This one is here in the United States. It's in Ormond Beach, Florida. It had been repainted. It does have a replacement, apparently the correct 3-liter flat six, and showing under 100,000 miles. Targa, Carrera, Carrera tail, the corduroy pinstripe interior, and a really cool 3-liter, 200 horsepower, non-turbo, turbo block spec car here titled on our shores. I thought this car could and should do well. And with that in mind, I do think that this car, a year ago would have brought maybe $85,000 bucks. But I said in this market, $65,000. JP took the under at $59,911. Wade took the over on me at $69,000 bucks, and then Mental took the under at 63. And I said over and over again, just a couple days ago, that if this car sells for my number, I'll be really bent out of shape because I'll wish I had bought it. Well, time for me to start drinking because our car sold for just $43,500 on 24 bids.
I would have bought it, man.
JP got the win on that one by taking the very bearish under, I should say. But man, $43,500. JP, I know you laugh at my pie in the sky attitude, but like, come on, that number has to surprise you. That is a really no number. I mean, this car had a reserve, but like, where did it hit it? Did he just wake up in the morning and be like, I need this car out of my life and yank the reserve? 43 grand. I mean, for any Targa, that would have been a good price for a car that at least looks that nice. Never mind the fact that it has a unobtainium European 3-liter that makes 200 horse. This car has as much horsepower as my Carrera Turbo 84. It's got the same gearbox, and this car, even with a Targa and a big-ass wing, probably weighs 500 pounds less than my car. That is a lot of performance and a lot of rarity for the money. I think this car was stolen, but this guy left the door unlocked. I mean, he literally yanked or had almost no competitive reserve. This result of all the ones we've covered in the last probably week or two shocks me the most. JP, are you as astounded as I am, or are you just going, Targa suck?
I like Targas, but they're just not worth as much. And I'm not surprised by this at all. There are at least 3 or 4 Targas that I know of on forums and stuff like that are in the 40s right now. This is what this car should be. It's a mid-year, and yes, I know it has the better 3-liter engine and stuff like that, but people just don't care. It's a mid-year, it's a Targa, it's a repainted burgundy car. Burgundy's just not that popular. It's a nice car, but I think it's, $80,000, that'd be bonkers. This is a great car, but I think $40,000 is what it's worth. And in the summertime, this car should be worth, high 40s instead of low 40s. Even in a good market, this thing's not much more than a $50,000 car. It's a mid-year. What do you think, Wade?
I don't know. I mean, 43 grand for a car like this to me seems low. Now, I learned a lot last show, you guys explaining, where this car came from and why people bring it in and, kind of why it's a little quirky and a little weird. And I was curious if that would either hurt the value, help the value, make no difference one way or another. It's kind of an obscure car, but at the end of the day, it's still a really nice car, regardless of its kind of quirkiness and Euro spec and, sort of deal where if you don't know what you're looking at, it's probably not special or interesting to you. But I really go back to the fact that for 40 something grand, I think this car was stolen. I feel like there has to be more to this. Maybe there's something we missed on the car, mileage, title, history, like something, because I don't know. This to me feels particularly low. Even if you've seen some others, JP, that were in this range, it feels low. It's got to feel low. Come on.
No, it's just not. I mean, I know of an 87 Targa for sale right now that's way nicer than this one. That's like 45 grand. They're out there. Targas don't bring the same kind of money that coupes do. Like cabs. It's just especially mid-years.
Refurbished mid-year Carrera coupes are bringing $120,000 and over. Targas of that same era would be in the at least $65,000 to $75,000 range. This car doesn't have
over 100 right now. Not happening.
Yes.
No.
Are you
BS.
JP? Oh
that's just not the case.
We can't convince him.
Carrera.
Oh, a Carrera. Okay, yeah. Carrera.
This is a Carrera. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. This is, you stop calling this a mid-year. It's not a mid-year.
It's a mid-year Targa.
Oh my God, John! It's a Carrera. It's got wider rear rims.
Nobody cares.
Why are you shaking your head?
It's a Targa. Nobody.
Okay, it's a dessert. It's a floor topping. Moving on.
No, I'm not going to move on. It's $43,000. The market spoke, and this is it's a Targa 3-liter that is the same damn thing as you could get an SC that's basically the same damn car.
But it got everyone but Ross on the nerd herd. It was way under what everyone thought, and everyone agrees with Wade that this was stolen.
Not stolen.
Yeah, totally.
All right. Okay. Market doesn't agree, but all right, whatever. Moving on, I guess. Someone show me a Targa Carrera, is 77 that has brought much more than, 60 or 70 grand, in the last, 6 months, a year. I just haven't seen it. Haven't seen it in a long time.
Do you think this now sets the market for future cars over the next maybe 3 or 4 months that are going to somehow go even lower? I mean, where's the bottom?
No, it's definitely low. Don't get me wrong. It's not like it's what they're worth, but it's not. Look, again, it's the same thing. It's bottom of the market. The top comes off. It's not the nicest version of this particular car, whatever special bullshit you want to attribute to it. It's November, the middle of November. This car is out of Florida. It's a repaint. It's just not the nicest one there is. TMU, all that kind of stuff adds up to not going to be a big number. It's just not. The top comes off. I am a Cabrio fan. Cabrio file. Thank you. I love cars with tops come off. And I love this car. I love lots of things about it. That corduroy, all kinds of stuff. But I would way rather get an 87 with a G50 for about the same price. I just don't see why anybody would pay more money for a lesser car. This is a lesser car than a G50 car. You don't agree with that, Deep?
There's a 1985 Mazda RX-7 on Cars and Bids that we covered last week.
You would rather have this car than an 87 G50 Targa in the same or better condition.
Probably. Yeah, I think I would. Yeah. And it's close. You make it tantalizingly close. The G50 is an awesome car. But this, how you talk about how you love that an SC drives the engine's peppier than a 3.2?
Actually, like the mid. I like the 2.7s better than a 3-liter or the 3.2. Absolutely.
And then I wish in a perfect world you could drive this car back to back to back with the other ones. And I have a sneaky suspicion you would get over your cynicism and realize that the motor in this car is what sets it apart, makes it special, and differentiates it from all the mid-years you're trying to compare it to. Moving on.
No, we keep going back and forth with this idea that I don't think it's a good car. It's not that. I think it's a great car. It's just not worth as much as other things that are as good or better, and the market knows what the heck it is. We talked about this on the last episode. People don't know what the 3.0 on a 77 means. They just don't.
That I agree, but that contradicts everything you were saying before.
But I still stand on the 87 with a G50 is better.
Okay, that's fine, and that's subjective. Yeah, okay. Here we go. There you
All
go.
right, let's go with this RX-7 thing.
Get us out of this shit show. Okay, here we go. So this 1985 Mazda RX GSL.
Deeb is like
edition.
personally upset that I don't like his mid-year Targa Carrera. He's like actually having anger issues over here.
I know he's gonna start punching himself in a minute. But
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the RX-7. Man, can't have a little
50,000 miles
entertainment here.
Sonoya, Georgia, which I've never heard of. Super nice car. Mental went goo-goo over this car. Super nice condition, reasonably low miles, and a special edition. Mental denoted this was one of the first ones that had, what was it, Mental? This car, this motor?
Is the 13B. So now this is the first of your fuel-injected 13Bs, and it's a 6-port. So even the 944 knockoff didn't have the potential for power that this one had in it.
There you go.
Yeah, it's a great car.
Super nice car. So I was ever the optimistic. I went 18,000. I said the high bid on this. JP came in underneath me at 14,007. Wade at 14,500, and Mental took the under at 12,500. Our car sold for 15,500, meaning Wade was the closest. 39 bids is what it took it home. I think we all unanimously agreed that this car, being on Cars and Bids, was on the right platform. But this car had a reserve, which is interesting for a car sort of this low of value. And this is sort of right up against the low year. I don't think, what is it? Cars and Biz doesn't sell any cars older than like 1980. So this is really kind of like the closest thing to a vintage sports car you'll find on Cars and Bids. And even though I was more optimistic thinking this car could reach to 18,000, I still think that's a lot of money for this car. I think it did really well on this platform. So congratulations to everyone involved. JP, what do you think of that result?
Yeah, I mean, how does the guy in the room that wasn't around, like most of us in here remember when this car was new, but Wade, the guy who wasn't even born when this car came off the assembly line, gets the bid correct. I don't understand that. I don't know.
Beginner's luck.
This is a nice car. Goodbye, and bring it back in spring, and it'll go up to closer or better than your number, Deeb, I think. What do you think, Wade?
Yeah, I think it probably had a little bit more to go, but like you said, this was the right platform. It's like just a smidge older than what like the classic Cars and Bids people like. They like the 90s and 2000s and a lot of the modern weird stuff. But it's still a relatively nice example of this sort of car, and I think it's a great spec. It seems to have been relatively well taken care of. Super nice pictures, well documented. Everything's close and looking good. I think given the time of year, he probably got it all out of it, but I also really appreciated Mental's, spirited explanation and history of this car last show. And I know he's waiting to say a couple more things about this beauty.
I am genuinely curious to see what happens with these cars, particularly this one, in another couple of years. We all were old enough to watch the bottoming of the first generation RX-7 market, which was a very influential sports car. And you got to where you could get them cheap. Sahan's on here telling us that he had this version for $900 20 years ago. And you were giving these things away, but now they're starting to get rare. They were everywhere and then they were nowhere. And so I'm wondering, you're never going to see these command insane numbers, but I'm wondering if they're going to start increasing in value.
Well, Sahan says he got one for $900 in 2003 with inflation. That was like $5,000, right? Thank you very much. Thank you. I'll be here all night. This is a neat car. I think. What do you guys think of the fact that no one can fix one of these, though? I think that's going to always kind of put a cap on this thing. With 911s, yes, it's very expensive to fix them, but there's so many 911s and so many Porsche people that are willing to put, people are willing to put the time and money into those. There's just not many of these left. They were so cheap for so long, and there's just nobody can fix one of them. You were mentioning that, weren't you, Mental?
Absolutely, yeah. Like one of the last people that could properly rebuild a rotary engine. Savannah RX-7, and then everything else after this is just race engines. If you want something of this this nature, but find someone that will just do a street rebuild, you're going to have to crate this motor up and ship it someplace.
You know who could probably fix this? I think our friend Anthony Vera up there at Our Smiths. He's got some tools. He services watches. So
his dad's
he's
a TV repairman.
He's got some.
an awesome
I
set
think
of
if
tools.
you've got an RX-7 with a Whipple engine and you need a rebuild, send it up to Our Smiths. Just put your watch in there when you get your watch service with those guys, and they'll rebuild your rotary engine at the same time.
As well.
Does that sound fair, Anthony? Can I go ahead and we're gonna say that. That's what we're gonna do. So send your watch up to Our Smiths and send your RX-7 as well. Did we make any other predictions last week, or was that it?
One more.
Still one more. All right.
Mental, will you pull up the 1979 Porsche 930 on PCAR Market? Super cool car. Super cool car out of Thousand Oaks, California. This is a slant nose conversion. And then recently, the slant nose conversion, all the bodywork and paint were done in Vegas. Then recently, they had the motor rebuilt, and they bored the motor out to 3.4 liter and put twin turbochargers on this thing. This thing is cool. And my guess is has the performance to back up its racer boy good looks. Slick top, 18-inch wheels, Brembo Big Reds, 3.4 liter twin turbo. That's got to be 400 horsepower and 400 torque easy.
Built
just
here in
super
Las
cool
Vegas.
car. Yeah, super cool car. Sports seats. There is a lot to like here. I really like this car. And I honestly, it's interesting because I thought the bidding would peter out around $85,000. But I thought they would be asking about $150,000 for this car in the chum bucket, the deal tank that PCAR Market utilizes. JP sort of followed me down that road, went $80,930 for his hammer bid, and then JP thought they might ask over $200,000. He said $225,000 is what it would show up in the deal tank for. Wade did 110 at hammer, 189 in the tank, and Mental. 69,000 at hammer, 169,000 in the tank. Without further ado, smell that. Can you guys smell that in studio? I can smell it from here. JP was sniffing a Yahtzee. Our car hammered at $80,250.
Holy cow.
And then wait, about a half an hour later, they got another bid, a post-hammer bid. This is the high offer, is at $80,500. Inching ever closer to a Yahtzee for JP, where it remains. It hasn't gotten any more action since then. But here's the real surprising thing. This car is available in the chum bucket right now for just $98,000. So I'm not even going to ask any of you guys if you're surprised by the hammer price, because I think we kind of nailed it. But that car is, I was actually the low man in the deal tank at $150. This car is $52,000 cheaper or on sale for where I thought they were going to ask for it. I mean, I'm telling you, John, if my car were sold, I'd be very interested in buying this thing if I could figure out a way to get this car to pass smog in California, which I have a sneaky suspicion might not be possible. Despite the car being available in Thousand Oaks, I'd be shocked if this car could pass a California smog. But John, my first question to you is, at $98,000, despite the platform or any of the other nonsense, doesn't that seem like a hell of a lot of car for the money?
You are spot on that one. I am shocked how low the chum bucket price is, and the fact that it still hasn't sold. I mean, this is so much car because of a couple of fenders. It's going to hold it back. I don't actually think it's worth $200-something thousand. I mean, I just thought that's how typical PCAR Market sellers are pretty out to lunch often. So I just kind of thought, all right, they've got all this money, and this is that engine is $100,000 engine. So you're getting a car plus the engine. You're getting a driving thing that you can go run around in and drive this and enjoy it. And at some point, either swap out the fenders with the correct fenders, or just rock a slant nose. I like slant noses. I think this thing is it's all cocaine and four wheels and ready to roll. That is a bargain. This is a car, honestly, Rummy should be all over. And might have to make that call when we're done. What do you think, Wade?
Hey, let me wait. Let me
jump
in here real quick. I just want to contest my own take. This car is sitting on a California plate that says 930 TT. So somebody did register this car in California. It's possible, but not easy and not common to, snake a smog test in California. It's super rare these days. So I'd be interested to know how, like, if they think that the next buyer could also get. I mean, God, I would love to own this car. I think it's badass. Anyway, thank you, Wade, for letting me jump in. But yeah, it's already registered in California, which is interesting.
Yeah, that is sort of interesting. But I think the most interesting part about this is the fact that, we were kind of off, especially on the chum bucket number. I mean, like you said, this is $100,000 or $150,000 build at least. And, correct me if I'm wrong, but the bidding was in the 80s. Their buy it now price was in the 90s. It's not so far off that, like, if I were selling the car, I probably would have sold it. I mean, we're talking to maybe $10,000 or $15,000 difference, give or take. At that price, this time of year, this kind of car, you got enough. I don't really understand holding it for another 10 grand.
Hold on. Before Mental, I know you've got a take on this too, but like one thing I think that should be considered is that with a reasonable reserve number where they were at, they were at 90 something thousand bucks, right? They should have just not had a reserve. If they went no reserve, the car probably would have gotten well into the 90s, because that always scares people away, especially with PCAR market, because everybody knows most of the sellers have ridiculous expectations. What do you think, Mental?
So I'm going to a bit sell out our silent guest because we don't have a camera on him. But this was built by TRE Motorsports here in Las Vegas. Now, we've got a guest in the Rami Show studios here, and it's Chris Shelton. He is a former writer and photographer for the Peterson Publishing Empire and still does a lot of independent work, and he has grown up in the car scene here in Las Vegas. Chris, have you ever heard of TRE Motorsport? No, you're an old school air-cooled guy.
Wait, isn't TRE in L.A.?
I'm sorry, I'm looking at the receipts here, but we know that the motor was built here in Las Vegas.
I don't know TRE.
Okay, fair enough. All right. And everyone is saying have Rami buy it. Sahan really, really wants a car. So if someone wants to loan Sahan $100,000, or Deeb, if you decide to buy it, I know how to get it registered in California. You let me register it, and you just leave it at my house. My Porsche driving skills are known far and wide. I'm very good at driving other people's Porsches. Everyone knows that.
TRE is reputable too. Those guys are really good. So word has it that my car's engine was rebuilt by them. Sorry,
JP, you're correct. TRE is in Van Nuys, and they did the motor, which is correct. The company that did the body work is in Vegas, and there's no receipt for that in the photo bucket. But the TRE receipts, if you just zoom in, it says Van Nuys, California. So this is that TRE, and I think the guy's name is Marco. He's a fantastic engine builder, especially with this generation of cars, the G-body cars. That's sort of his deal. So that to me makes the car worth even more money. I'm really shocked this thing didn't find even PCAR Market couldn't find a home for this car. It's a really nice car. I am really smitten with this thing.
Is this a dealer sell?
Good question, John. I'm not seeing it. Title status.
No, private party.
Where's our
That's
buddy?
a bummer, because I was going to say just trade your car in.
Where's our buddy from Cars and Bids who could probably hook this guy up and get this thing sold proper?
This is a PCAR Market car, not Cars and Bids.
No, I'm saying, pull it off a PCAR Market, get over to Cars and Bids, get our guy on there.
Mental, you just named 3 people that this car should belong to that you know. Why are you trying to sell it out from underneath us, man? Will you just calm down?
Honestly. Sorry.
Yeah.
Everyone
Zach,
ignore what I said.
Zach,
this car is absolute garbage. No one wants this thing.
Yeah.
Steve, why don't you just start an OnlyFans and just buy this thing? What are you doing?
Yeah. Zach Miller, will you go to the fridge and get me a beer while Mental keeps talking? Jeez Louise.
I think Steve would make more money with a paper route. All right, let's go ahead and go to a commercial with our good friends Godden. We'll be right back with new predictions right after this. Stick around. Hey guys, I gotta tell you about our friends Godden Porsche of Las Vegas and Godden Classic. If you're looking for a new Porsche or a classic, you gotta call our friend Steve at Godden, this guy. Save yourself the hassle of screwing around with all the auctions like we always talk about, and just talk to Steve. He'll find you the classic Porsche you're looking for. Godden Porsche of Las Vegas. If you don't subscribe to Bid Nerds on YouTube right now, I'm gonna shoot this 997. If you said, wait, that's a 996, you're a nerd. So subscribe to the new YouTube channel, Bid Nerds.
Get those nerds! It doesn't make any sense.
Oh, could you reset that for me?
Yeah. Say it in the microphone there, Chris.
All right. Okay, we're getting in focus. There it is. All right. Yeah. Chris has got some fighting words coming back in from the break. How you guys doing? Thanks for sticking around. All right, so it is Price is Right time. This is where you guys get to play along. This is where the rubber hits the road. We've got all new predictions. What is the first car on the list? Michael D., what do we got?
So JP, our good friend Chris Carbine from Carbine Motor Cars in New Orleans, Louisiana.
He's the nerd herd. He's watching right now.
He is practically the king of the nerd herd, him and Anthony. So check it out. Chris sent us this car, and it is on the marked platform. John, I have to say, I don't think we've done a marked car since we've gone to the live format, and probably several months prior to that. So Marked is still alive and well, and they have a 2006 Porsche 911 Carrera S Club to celebrate their conjunction with the Porsche Club of America. This was a car that I think was exclusively offered to club members. It's numbered. You saw it was number 38 out of 50 that were made in 2006. I scanned the ad, John, and in the comments and in the copy, I could find no mention of an IMS bearing, and that's the only thing about this car that bothers me. Very interesting car. All these cars came with those really interesting wheels. All these cars are painted Azzurro, California, which really kind of chaps my hide because that is a Ferrari color, and I'm shocked that for the Porsche Club of America, they chose a car to be made specifically in a paint-to-sample Ferrari color. That seems to me as backwards thinking. Of all the special club cars that I'm aware of, I always feel like these cars sort of just didn't do the best. Like they never really set the world on fire. It's not to say they weren't a commercial success, but they've never really commanded really big collector money. Probably has something to do with the generation being a 997.1 and having, in large part, faulty IMS bearings. I think that's just sort of been like a scarlet letter over these cars all along. Very interesting, John. When I was at Godden, we almost bought one of these from RM Sotheby's, and I didn't. I got off the car. The car didn't sell, and RM Sotheby's would not leave Gary Ackerman alone because I had bid on the car, and they were like, "Hey, do you guys want this car? Do you guys want this car?" And I told Gary, I was like, "The hell with it." The fact that they're trying to pawn it off on us, I was like, "Absolutely not." So we kind of stayed away from that one. So I never got to drive one, John, but it does have an X51 package. It makes like 385 horsepower. Which is got to be an extra 15, 20 horsepower over the stock cars. Normally aspirated rear-wheel drive, very cool spec, but just somehow it's like it's supposed to be special, but it's just not. I guess you can almost lay my words over your words on that Targa earlier. But here we go, JP. It's getting decent action on the marked platform, and with a couple days to still yet to close. So I send it back to you. Have you driven a .1? Like they never made a 7.1 GTS, but if they did, it would have had this motor in it because that's the X50 package. So any chance you've driven a 7.1 S with an X50 package, even if it wasn't a club car?
Yeah, I've driven the X50s on 997s. They're freaking great. My 997S, it was, God, I can't remember what, it didn't have the X50, but it had a flash and exhaust and stuff like that. The 3.8 motor, I mean, as long as the IMS doesn't go, these things are rockets. And if you give them a little bit of a tune, it's that much more. Sahan, who's watching, we both owned that car for a while. I had it, then he had it, and then I got it back. And I remember when I was driving it after not having driven it for a year or two while he had it, I remember going, I don't remember this thing being this fat. Did you do something to it? They really are incredibly wonderful for the performing machines. But yeah, reliability issues are definitely something to be thinking about. But I think the person that buys this is going to buy it as a collector at $50,000, where it's sitting at right now with 8 bids and a couple days to go. That's way more than a regular non-numbered, just kind of run-of-the-mill 997.1 S would be sitting. I mean, that's top of the market for a regular one. So the only reason this one's going to go for more than that is because it has a little badge that says it's number 30 of 50, and Porsche people are dippy about that kind of stuff. I don't see any value at all in this. This car is a great car, but not really worth extra cheese. What do you think, Wade?
Yeah.
Hey, Wade, let me give you
ahead.
some numbers to chew on because I know you're a performance guy. So the X51 package in this car raised the S horsepower from 355 to 381. For comparison's sake, a 997.1 GT3 made 415 horsepower. And then the torque on this went from 295 to 306, 10 horsepower. But at 306, I think 308 was the torque on that same 997.1 GT3. So the performance on this car is truly very close to GT3 specification. Just doesn't have the reliability or the extra revs. But that, JP, what you're saying is bearing out. Like, that's a lot of performance for the money and certainly for the era. So there you go, Wade. Take a look.
Yeah, that's some helpful information for sure. I'm curious from a collector's perspective, like you alluded to, JP, if it matters one way or another, if this is a numbered whatever for this special edition. And I'm curious, Michael Deeb, if you can tell me the mileage on this car. Is this something that somebody's actually driven, or is this just going to be passed to another Porsche collector who will never drive it?
So it's on a New Jersey title. It's in Parum, New Jersey, and the car has 32,600 miles, which is very fair.
Yeah, so it's a driver's car. I feel like it's sitting at a high number already, though. For what it is, like you said, JP, they're buying it for the collector kind of angle, but it's not like a low mile collector car. Like, it's been driven. So, yeah. Other than the numbered plate and, decent performance upgrades, 50, almost, could go 60 grand. That's a lot, right?
Yeah, for a regular old 997. By the way, that horsepower is close to a 996 GT3 horsepower. What do you think of this thing, Mental?
I like it. Going with your theme of both of you guys saying that, the PCA cars have not typically brought a lot of theirs because most of the members, when they're done ironing the pleats in their shorts, they don't understand the internet and they're too busy just showing each other these pictures on their phones, which is a flip phone. So they've got to get all that going on there. It may be a Ferrari car, though. This is a gorgeous color, and I'm all about those numbers, but I'm not paying extra for a dash or a door plaque on this one. I would pay a proper price to have this kind of horsepower in my garage. It's a great car, but I feel like that little badge is already overinflated.
I'm shocked it doesn't come with aero. If they're going to do, it's got all the cool bits inside. It's got the seats and all that stuff, and the color matched console and stuff. Why not put the nose and the wing on it? I just don't get that.
I agree with you, JP. This car underwhelms me. You know what I mean? Like it's I don't know. It's like a
what's it going to bring?
Yeah. So JP, as Wade had teased ahead, our car is already at $50,000 on 8 bids with 2 days until close. I think in a stronger market, maybe under 30,000 miles, this could be a $75,000 car. But I don't think this car even brings $65,000 here. And I'm not really betting against the platform. I 50 grand on 8 bids, this car is getting the action. But man, 59, 63. I'm just going to kind of go neutral and say $60,000 where I believe it will sell. I think that if you're getting off this car, you're going to let it go. So despite it being a reserve, I think at 60 grand it sells. So I'm going to give you $60,000 to chew on, JP.
If it came with a matching pair of Pumas in the same color, some PCA guy would absolutely spend extra money on this thing. But looking at the bids, it jumped from 40,000 to 50,000. I think this guy that's looking, I think the guy that jumped from 39,750 all the way up to 50 grand, I think that guy wants it. And I think he's probably going to get it. Maybe there'll be another bid or something like that, but I'm going to go 55,997. I don't think it's worth that. I think if it were on BAT, it might get more, but on this platform, I just don't see it happening. What do you
give
think?
Give me your number,
55,997. Yeah.
Thank you, John. Okay, cool. And you think it sells at that number if we get there?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Wade, for letting me interrupt you for the third time on this one car.
It's okay. I'm used to it. Man, this is tough. I want to give this car a lot of credit because it seems like, in theory, it's a special car, numbered, super low, production, whatever, special edition. But I don't know. Is it like so much better than a comparable normal version? I can't imagine. And it's not super low miles that it's like collector grade. But I mean, it's already sitting at 50, 67. I mean, I'll give it 69,000. And I don't know if it sells, honestly. I think the reserve might be higher than we think.
Wait, I just want to clarify. You said 69,000, right?
69,000.
Okay, and then just as an aside, are you familiar with the Mark platform? Do you know anything about this particular auction platform that it's on?
I do not. So I mean,
so it was created in Silicon Valley by a division of Porsche called Porsche Digital, and Porsche Digital is running something called Porsche Ventures, which is venture capital. And the first project they did was to create an auction platform that is brand agnostic. So it's called Marked because of all the different marks that might appear on it. Even though it's sort of owned and operated by Porsche, it doesn't have Porsche branding anywhere on it. But John and I know the guy that runs Porsche Digital in the US. He bought a car from me. Super nice guy. Shout out to Stefan Baral. And so anyways, here we go. They're still in business and they've got a nice car and it's already got some good money on it. So I wouldn't be totally shocked if you won, but I would be surprised.
I mean, I got to think, this is still a car that's a 1 of 50 or whatever it is, like in theory, right? And it's, it might be unique enough to somebody who says, I want something that nobody else has. And like, arguably that might be true in this case. But is it special? I don't know.
Mental, did you give a number? You're getting a lot of comments in the nerd herd, and there's some people saying that these have sold for over 6 figures in the past.
We've got Chris and a couple folks that they have sold for over 6 figures, but I think they all kind of agree with everyone's assessment that they're not quite there. But the interesting comment comes from the aptly named Jabroni Zone, who said, you're definitely going to have to add 5% because it's in Jersey. So
we're in PCAR market for sure.
The Jabroni Zone. Is that really his handle?
Absolutely. Yes. He's been, yeah. So welcome to the herd there.
I wonder
Jabroni.
if Jabroni Zone is my friend Jeff Harley, who calls me Jabroni all the time. He's from Philly, and so Jabroni is part of his culture. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's Jabroni Zone. I hope that's him. That's hilarious.
But what is interesting, so we've got, Buddha's in at 57.8. We've got Sahan in at 59.97. Chris at 58.997 because everybody wants to be JP at the end of the day. Carbine's talking about he brought one of these back in the day, but it's the other comment is the Pumas or the Pilati crowd, are they going to fork out 6 figures even though the owner obviously thinks that it's worth it? And then we've got everyone that thinks it's going to go for 80. They all think it's going to go fail to sell. I'm going to just jump in there and say 64997 because I got to pick a number somebody else haven't had yet. It's a cool car, but it ain't a $60,000 car. I'd go back and argue with all you guys that Targa before and then still have enough left over for a Boxster.
So when you say it's not a $60,000 car, you're arguing that it's worth more than 60 grand.
No, I don't. I think it's a unique 997. I'm sorry, I don't even have the camera on me. I think it's a unique 997 with a great performance package that would be worth, a 2% thing for the little door plaques. Other than what the normal version of this car would be, which would be, it's a great driver. And I think the owner probably knows that, which is why it doesn't have collector grade miles on it, even though it appears to be well cared for. But I think they're overestimating the demand for something that's this limited edition. And we keep coming back to it's Christmas time. Nobody's dropping crazy coin.
Let's not forget that 2011 S, the .2, only sold for 66 grand. I know that had higher miles and isn't a special one, but it's a better car because it's probably not going to blow up. All right,
it's not going to blow up on you. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And they even put all these receipts in, but there's nothing for the IMS bearing.
Yeah,
and
that's surprising.
I feel like you can't not talk about that. That seems like the kiss of death.
I'm going to throw this out there. There was an earlier conversation on the previous 997 from the Nerd Herd about the IMSs may not get done on these because they actually have to be drilled out rather than the traditional pull the 3 bolts.
There's the dual row and then there's the single row, and some of them have the dual row, some of them the single row. One can be replaced, one can't. They'll both fail. whereas the .2s don't even have one. It's not that they're single roll or dual roll or whatever. They don't have one at all. The .2 does not have an IMS, kind of like the Metzger engine in the GT3 or the Turbo. No IMS at all, so no IMS to fail. All right, let's move on to the next car. This next one's kind of interesting. Tee it off there, Michael D. What do you got?
JP, you selected a 2008 Lotus Exige S 240 with just 9,000 miles on Bring a Trailer, offered out of North Salem, New York. This car is offered by one of BAT's top sellers called 1600 Veloce. Super nice car. JP, is this what Jason Alter bought?
No.
Well, hold on. It is, but it's not a cup version. It's the
Right.
street version of what he bought.
Yes. Yeah. Alters is way more hardcore.
Yeah.
This is a gorgeous car, though.
So this is the street version and Alters is the hardcore version?
Alters is the cup version of this.
Okay, cool. So super cool car. When these cars came to America, and they started just as the Elise, they utilized a Toyota motor in the back of the car that was, I think, normally aspirated, made like 180, 190 horsepower. Is that correct, Mental?
Yes, and just Toyota
Right.
reliability. They changed enough that you couldn't take it to a Toyota dealer.
Right. And so for the Exiges, when they did finally bring those to our shores, they got that motor supercharged. And so it basically boosts performance horsepower from around 180, 190 up to 240, and then significantly put a boost into the torque. I'm guessing probably 100 extra pound-foot of torque, making these cars more rigid and way more horsepower. So if you thought the other car was a fun sports car, this winds up becoming an incredibly capable track car. And I have never driven one, but I have read just countless positive reviews about how these cars handle, how these cars feel, and how these cars drive. And to me, this one, even though it has a removable Targa top, I love the air scoop above the driver. I love the fixed rear wing. If I was going to get one, I think I would get something that is almost identical to this. I love this car in every way. And Mental, please don't tell me don't meet your heroes. I want to believe that these cars are as good as I think they are. This is a Carfax verified one-owner car. It's at this point now, it's 15 years old, and it doesn't even have 15,000 miles. So this car, I'm not going to say it's been lovingly taken care of. My guess is somebody probably drove the snot out of it, but used it only on occasion. It's got fixed back hard sports seats with racing harnesses that are in there. Manual transmission, rear wheel drive, staggered with wheels. I think these cars even come with AP brakes, like full on AP racing calipers on little teeny tiny discs. Bilstein Mono 2 dampers, iBox springs. I mean, this car just has a laundry list of performance parts. This car really does get me going. JP, nice grab. That's the presentation. I send it back to you. Just it's worth noting, JP, that Park Place in Bellevue was where this car was originally delivered.
Which is not a Porsche dealership.
We have established that.
Park Place Porsche. It says it right here. It was sold by Park Place Porsche. Come down here. Your Lotus Superstore, Park Place Porsche in Bellevue, Washington.
They did have a Lotus franchise for a while, I believe. But this car is pretty darn spectacular. I've never driven the Exige. I've driven lots of Elise. Is that the plural for Elise, or is it Elises? I don't know. The Exige.
It's
Eli, there you go. Jason Alter, Miami Yay, he recently bought one of these, and
He's in the chat right
look at
now.
that. So I'm still waiting for my check because I got him the deal of a lifetime on his cup version of this car. I mean, we are talking crazy deal that he got on this car. Effing crazy. But yeah, no love, no checks, nothing, no mana. But really happy for him. He absolutely has gone bonkers on this car. He's kind of gone mental in the way that he is with his Lemons Racing. And
he's got a suit. He's got trackside support. He is gone.
That's not where I'm getting at. It's the whole vegan / like CrossFit thing. He will not shut up about how great this car is, and the fact is, I believe him. I mean, and I look forward to getting a chance to drive it because he took it out to the track. It was the last weekend or the weekend before, and from what he was saying, and Jason's great. He's the first guy to admit that he has no idea what to do with it yet, and he's just getting started. But he's like, his instructor guys, they're like, this car is as fast or maybe even better than a GT3 RS on the track. I mean, they are that good. And
the supercharged ones, not the regular leases, but the supercharged
correct.
ones for sure. And his
is supercharged,
yeah, like as stiff as these cars are, Jason's, they took all the slack out of it.
Yeah, he's talking about going in. He's going into a corner and he's setting himself up for braking. He's like, yeah, I'll go a little later, and he hits the brakes and he's like, stopped. He's like, God damn it, I could have braked an hour later. What the hell? I could have braked in 2 weeks from now. It's like you can late brake so much in this thing.
Mental, it's one of those cars where you brake and then you have to drive up to the corner.
Yes, absolutely. And God bless him, Jason. We're trying to get a weekend where I can throw all my gear and come drive this car. I have driven the Elise. It is not a case of don't meet your heroes. It's like a great set of kitchen knives. It will make anyone a better cook, but then you put it in the hands of a true master chef or anyone with any skill at all, and it's just
you mean like when
much
Jason
better.
lends it to you?
No. Like Jason likes to downplay his ability to drive, but Jason can drive. And then you put him in this car, and he's just going to get nothing but better.
Yeah, give him a few sessions, or half a year, or a year. It's gonna be like, holy shit.
But it is just one of those things where if you're chasing something, even finger quotes bigger or faster, and you follow it into a corner and they hit the brakes, you just come on the inside of them, count the 3, and then go. And now I'll brake and just absolutely murder every one of those corners. And as Jason was in here pointing out, these Toyota, the Lotus jokes aside, these Toyota engines have repeatedly proven to be bulletproof, even in this application. And the brakes that are on these are upgrades. Someone went and got those brakes off the Cup car and put it on here. So this is a really well sorted car. Yeah.
Yeah, and the fact that you can compete with a $200,000 car with a car that's not, I mean, we'll get to the numbers soon, but this car isn't going to go anywhere close to that. So what do you think of this car, Wade?
I'm a big Lotus fan. I remember seeing the Lotus Elise in person for the first time when I was a kid, and I was like completely just in love with it. I've attempted to squeeze myself into a couple of Lotuses over the years. Not something I could drive comfortably, unfortunately, but if I had a track car, this is what I would get, an Elise, an Exige, well outside the realm of my driving abilities, but I think for what it is, dollar for dollar, probably one of the best, like slightly higher end track focused cars that you can still work on and maintain, that you don't feel bad pushing really hard because it's not like a GT3. It's not $200,000 or whatever. So, yeah, I'm jealous to whoever buys this. This is one heck of a car.
And since it's a Targa top, you could actually fit in it with that hair. It would be sticking a couple inches.
I could, yeah.
Cause a little drag. Deeb, what's this thing going to bring? Let's get to the numbers.
All right, so our car closes essentially tomorrow, JP, and it's sitting at $48,750. It's on 19 bids. I don't think seasons affect a car like this. I just think there's a certain number of people out there like Mental that are, constantly looking for something of this specification. And, this one just looks like it's got some nice tasteful upgrades with that brakes that Mental mentioned. There's some receipts for sport cats and headers that are specific to this car. And then this one, again, I cannot stress, it's 15 years old and it's got less than 10,000 miles on it. And I don't care how those miles were driven. This car is still really just being broken in. So with all that in mind, JP, I believe in this car. I'm going to give you $75,000 where I think it will sell.
That was actually going to be my number, so I'll go right above you. I'll go 75,240. The other thing to think about too is that when the engine do blow up on one of these, because you're just ripping the living hell out of it, if you do manage to blow one up, with a GT3 RS, you got to hope that you have a certified car, because that's a $98,000 engine replacement on a GT3 RS. This thing, you get a souped up version of this, built version of this engine, even better than what the factory comes for, like 10 grand all in installed. So this is just like serious bang for the buck. What do you think it's going to bring, Wade?
Yeah, bang for your buck and then some.
Mm-hmm.
I think, you guys are really close to what I was at. I'm going to go a little higher. I'm going to say $77,700. and I'm jealous of whoever gets it. I hope they enjoy it and put another 15,000 miles on it.
We're all in that kind of ballpark. What do you think, Mental?
All right, it is still Christmas time, but yes, track-focused vehicles like this do tend to be a little more winter-proof. I'm going to come under, and I'm going to say 72999 because why not on this one? And someone, in the nerd herd, everyone here, we're all in agreement. Someone is getting an amazing car.
All right.
You guys almost
JP.
have me sold. All right.
And
JP,
the
good
nerd
pick.
herd
That
here
was
is
fun.
rocking up. The nerd here, they've got Anthony's at 59, Jason himself, who owns one of these, 68, Randy 67.5, Michael 66666 because it's bad fast. Chris has got 74. He just sold a similar example, one of those, which reminds us if you're looking for a great car, get a hold of Chris Carbine. Kevin is at 71, Sahan at 73.5. And notice, Sahan did not call this car slow. And Ross Churchhouse is at 715.
Yeah, what do
JP,
you think, Alter? You've got one of these. You've got a cup. What's it going to bring? Go ahead, Deep.
JP, didn't what's his name have an Elise for a little while?
Who's
With
his name?
son?
Which name? Oh, David Sullivan still has his
Yeah,
Elise.
David Sullivan.
Yeah,
Yeah, he does.
yeah.
Right. Yeah. So that's two in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're buddies now. I mean, come on. There's
bet,
only how many Elise are there? Elise/Exige are
They
there
are-
in town?
They are two of the two members of the Lotus Club of Las Vegas.
David Sullivan is usually watching. He's not watching tonight. He would be. He'd be all over this. All right. What's the next car?
All right. Buddha chimed in and selected for us on Bring a Trailer this 2004 Volkswagen R32 with just 710 miles. Please, Mental, somebody explain to me how you own this car and do not drive it. These cars came in
Brain damage.
these cars came in 4 colors. And John, I know you don't like blue, but I do. I love this color for this car. This would be, don't get me wrong, JP, yours in metallic black will also look sexy. But I dig this metallic blue. I love it. I was actually working with Volkswagen at the time. I sold, I think, 1 or 2 of these brand new, and really wanted one for myself. But when you're working for Volkswagen, you can't really afford a $40,000 car back in, what was this, 2004. But JP, our car is in Naples, Florida, 3.2 liter narrow angle VR6 with the 4Motion all-wheel drive, 18-inch Aristo alloy wheels, and those Koenig heated front sports seats. There was some really cool equipment. The exhaust was tuned beautifully. These cars have a nice raspy rumble on overrun. Really fun cars. They handle really well. Some people went ballistic and put twin turbochargers on these things, and you made an absolute dragon slayer of a sports car, a total sleeper for those that were smart enough and had the money to twin turbocharge these cars, because the suspension and the handling and the brakes were already there. The seats are comfortable, 6-speed manual, really nice car. But the big news here is the mileage on our car. It looks to be in spectacular, perfect, original condition with less than 1,000 miles. I think this car is in for quite the journey. Carfax verified 1 owner. So really interesting. Somebody bought this, put it away, and then decided to pull it out around Thanksgiving, which is just such a weird part of the story. It's like, okay, you hung on to this and then you're going to retail out of it. I would think you would, do a little bit more of fanfare for this. And like a car like this is a car you could give to 911R and have them retail it. I think they would bring you, more than a 10% premium, thus paying for themselves to have them run it. What do you think about that take, JP?
Yeah, I mean, this is an absolutely stunning car. I like the color. This is the color that everyone kind of knows this car from. $1,000 to photograph this car properly, and it would bring back thousands. This car's presentation is awful. My good friend Zach Lindsay, shout out to my oldest friend in the world up in Seattle. He bought one of these for his son, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years ago or whatever, for like $12,000, and that was a lot at the time. Obviously his has way more than 700 miles. But this, I mean, the fact that this car is sitting at 70 something already with ways to go, boy, not spending the money on a photographer is going to cost this guy big money. What do you think, Wade?
Yeah,
Great take, JP.
I definitely agree. As we're scrolling through the pictures here, I've seen his cargo shorts in the reflection more than once. I mean, it
PCA member.
Yeah, no offense to him, but you know, in the driveway at the trailer park is not the place to represent this car, and it's such a weird situation. There he is, right there in the reflection, but really weird situation. I mean, you know, you buy this car however many years ago, and you just don't drive it. Like, what was the goal in the end? And then when it is time to sell it, like you said, we're approaching the winter season. Sure, it's in Florida. There's barely any winter season, but you know, this is a car that could have been represented as like the lowest mileage, best example of this car. And instead it looks like somebody's Facebook Marketplace posts at best. So it might hurt it, but in the end, like if you were looking for the nicest example of this car, it's got to be it, right? I mean, I can't imagine any other one of these has less than 1,000 miles. It may not even be another one with less than 10,000 miles.
What was the guy doing with this car the whole time? Like, where was it?
Yeah, I don't really understand. Like, I mean, it's in a.
Did he forget that he had it? It's not like he has a mansion or something like that where he's wings.
Especially if this is the car in his garage for the last however many years, and then you know, you don't touch it, don't look at it. The time's coming to sell it. Like I don't know, weird story, weird situation.
Let me put it in perspective for you. 710 miles is less than 3 tanks of gas. You know what I mean? Like,
bizarre.
It's like two. Yeah, I bought a 356 from a couple years ago, and they literally forgot about the car in their garage because they had remodeled the house, and they used the garage as like their kind of remodel base. So they had built tool sheds, and they were doing like they built their own cupboards and stuff like that. So literally the car was buried under, you know, lumber and tools and stuff. And
capsule.
Exactly. And then they went to sell the house, and they were cleaning out the garage like, oh shit, we forgot about the Porsche in here. Oh, wow. You know, so but that car looked terrible from having been in that situation. This car looks like it was kept beautifully the whole time. Like, so no one forgot about this thing. What do you think, Mental?
This is a fascinating one. When these came out, I knew all the VW nerds, were getting on waiting list. And after they were 5 years old, I don't think you could find one with low miles because they were all bought by enthusiasts and driven to the absolute ragged edge. And it's hard to find one of these R32s now because they were all taken to 6-digit miles and beaten like rented mules the entire time, and they're starting to have these kind of long-term problems. These cars were no one considered them collectors. They all considered them just, you know, this really great special thing. So as our friend Buddha pointed out, all of us, and JP, we've fallen down this trap where we get all giggly about old school water-cooled VW cars because every Porsche nerd started as a VW nerd. Yep. So
it's a good
this is someone is going to throw some big money. But yes, you buy this great colored car, you option it just perfectly. You hide it in the garage, you keep it shined, you keep it, lubricated and fluids and everything like that. And then you sell it a week before Thanksgiving, and you take the pictures with your crappy phone in your short. There's somewhere along there making smart choice, smoking meth.
All right, let's get to some numbers. Let's get this done. What do we think?
All right, Buddha, if you gave me a number on this car, I forgot it, so please chime it in, and Mental will read it on here as we go through our bids. John, I am finally going to break down and play your candy-ass game and give you $103,200 for my bid on the R32. $103,200, and that will win it and take it home. If this car had better photographs, or they trusted it to one of the more reputable sellers, and they took studio shots of this car and did a better job of marketing it and documenting it as a one-owner car, I think this car could have brought $120,000, $125,000, $130,000. But as Wade said, photographing it in the driveway of a trailer park is not how you get there. I still think this car is going to see 6 figures, but the $10,000 they would have paid 1,600 Veloce would have got them $20,000 more money, and so they dropped the ball. I agree with your take, JP, all day long. So there you go, John. $103,200. I'm cute.
This is easily $100,000 car, or 6-figure car is what I mean. but it's not going to. I don't think it's going to get there. I don't think these photos are going to do it. I think that this person was sitting on this car they were like, yeah, I'm gonna cash out, and they saw kind of the peak, and now they're seeing things kind of going back down a little bit, and maybe they got scared or are scared of the future and don't think things are gonna pop back up next. I didn't say the I word.
No. That was our tension riff. Like he got scared.
Yeah. This guy is worried about. He's listening to Deeb. He thinks the sky is falling. He's got the Pollyanna thing going. He's like, I got to get out of this car while the getting's good. And if I wait till spring, World War III is going to be here. And there you go. Now you can drink.
Mental. I'm gonna age myself. Every time you play that little riff, I think Rod Sterling walked into the studio.
Half the audience.
Somebody explain that to Wade. Yeah.
Is that the
Jordan? It was Jordan Peele in the 50s. That's who Rod Sterling is.
That's a good word for it.
Yeah.
No, it's the previous host of Price is Right, right? I'm good with that. I'll go with that. Spay new to your pets. All right, yeah.
Jordan Peele's a good take.
I think it's gonna get $95,000. I'll just say that, $95,000. What do you think, Wade?
Wow. And this guy's not falling?
Well, no, I said it. I think it's the pictures. It's the photos.
Yeah.
This thing should be well over six figures. It's not the market that's going to hurt this car. It's the presentation.
Yeah, it was an interesting perspective. It almost strikes me as kind of a rushed listing. Like maybe he is a day late and $1 short, and he realized now that he should have listed it like 3 or 4 months ago. And he's like, if I don't do it now, it might be.
He was
too
trying
late.
to buy this AMG that he saw in Las Vegas, and he was scrambling to get loans.
I wish
from everybody.
But yeah, and the weird thing is like, if you recognize that and you're starting to rush, like another 6 months from now, you probably would be okay. And if you've held on to it and not driven it for this long, I mean, another year would have been maybe even better. I don't think it'll hit six figures either. I think it probably stalls out at like 91. And it just like, this should have been the car that everybody who has ever wanted this car should have, like, they should know about it. It should be in articles. It should be like, look at this insane under 1K mile. Like,
yeah, it should be all over Vortex, right?
Yeah. And it should have been
Jalopnik, the drive, all of it. Yeah.
It may be though. It might.
With those pictures though, how do you lead? How do you lead with the guy's jorts as the picture?
Like, and there would usually be links to that stuff if there were, I mean, it's just.
Yeah. And the good consigners or dealerships, whoever, would also like, blast it out. I think he just is going to miss it. And I don't know if is there a reserve? Did you mention one way or another? I don't know if it's.
Yeah, there's a reserve.
There is. I don't even think it sells.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah, that's a good take. I mean, it probably is a six-figure reserve.
What's your number if it doesn't sell?
If it doesn't sell?
Well, whatever.
What's your number?
Oh, my number. I said 91,000 if it stalls out at
91,000.
Yeah, and it doesn't sell. Oh, you're fine.
Mental, let me give you some more information that I failed to provide my co-host, and it's absolutely ruined.
Thanks for nothing.
Our car is sitting at $77,777, and it closes in 2 days from now. This car has only received 3 bids. The first bid was $30,000. The second bid was $75,000, and the third bid was, of course, the $77,777. So, Mental, with 2 days to go, what do you think it's going to sell?
I'm with the nerd herd.
Hammer?
Yeah, I'm with the nerd herd, and I'm with our co-host. The pictures in the thing are killing this car. This should be $115,000 car, but I'm gonna say 97,932 to play the game on this one. I don't think this is not a 6-digit ad.
No, for sure. And then what did Mental say? What did Buddha say? Did you get a bid from him?
Absolutely. I've been flashing the Buddhas. Buddhas gave us 95. Anthony gave us 82,250. Randy B, being very, very conservative, he says 77,777. It ends here. Ross 84,321. And then Jason got 83.5. Then everyone's also talking about how their first car was a VW because they're correct. This is how we all start.
Great pick, Buddha. Thank you for starting that conversation. It's so true. All us Porsche guys. John, we covered a car a while ago, 2004 R32, and son of a biscuit. So let me see if I can pull this up real quick.
Excellent podcasting.
97 miles. And I guessed 100 grand. You guessed $100,032. And that car, this was a different time, but that car sold for $104,000 on 38 bids. And let me just give you the dates on that real quick. Boom, 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 boom. That date was, oh my computer slow. Keep talking deep, keep talking deep.
All right, well, we'll bring up the next.
February 24th of 2023. So that was, 9 months ago.
Yep, things have changed, but this is a pretty special car. What do you guys think? It's going to be interesting to see what happens. Let's get to the last car.
All right. So Buddha also selected for us a 2019 Porsche 911 Targa 4 GTS. This car is on, where is it? On Cars and Bids. 7,800 miles, manual 7-speed, Targa GTS, adaptive sports seats, hideous interior. This car has it all. Knockoff wheels, incredible spec. Dealers are still charging, I think, over on these cars because they only get so many in their allocation. So as a limited allocation cars, these cars tend to bring more money than MSRP when they're sold new by the Porsche dealers that can get them. So this car is attractive from the outside. I think it's polarizing on the inside. It's got super low miles, and here it sits on Cars and Bids, another rare Porsche making an appearance on Cars and Bids. Is Zach Miller with us? JP, I send this car, very similar to the one we looked at not that long ago, but steel brakes here. No, carbon brakes here. Just not paint to sample, but otherwise not too dissimilar to that car we covered not that long ago.
Well, this one's a .2, right? The other one was a .1, if I remember correctly.
That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, this being a .2, these are really snappy cars. There's a lot of controversy as to whether the .1s are going to hold their value better than the .2s because the .2s are smaller engines with turbos and stuff. But man, this is a very, very moddable car. You just do a tune on this thing, and the performance you're getting previous GT3 level performance. And I gotta say, I mean, look, this has super low miles. I don't hate the interior. I don't think it's hideous. It's not what I would choose. It's kind of jet ski-ish a little bit with all the, tritone thing going on. But I think it's a nice place to hang out. And, it's a Targa, it's a GTS. It's all those things that you want. A little bit of, just a few mods, and this car is just absolutely stellar. And way less money than a GT3. And you get the Targa top roof, which is just absolutely fantastic. I love this thing. What do you think, Wade?
I think they spec'd it wrong. And I don't really like the interior at all. I don't really like the exterior either. It's kind of, great car, but kind of a weird presentation for this. And I wonder what the story is. It seems to be sitting at a dealership, seemingly. And I wonder if they've had issues trying to sell it because it's a little bit of a weird spec. So I'd be curious. I mean, it's probably on the right platform. I don't know though. I mean, if I'm going to spend this kind of money, I don't think I would get this one. And I think it's going to hurt the value a little bit, the interior and the exterior and the whole deal. Really great car though. I'm a big Targa person. I would get a Targa. I think the GTS is solid, but I can't really get past the spec. And in my mind, I'm thinking that's probably going to cost it like at least 5 or 10%.
I don't disagree with that. What do you think, Mental?
I have nothing new to add to this, but it is just weird enough that I'm really starting to fall in love with it.
Well, this might be an opportunity. It's like, most of these are going to get specced out in some crazy blue or some crazy color. I actually like the exterior. It's very dull. I like that this car, you can go rip it around and you're not going to attract as much attention.
Yeah, silver is invisible on a freeway.
Yeah,
it is wonderful.
It's just, it's not a weird spec. It's just a dull spec for what is otherwise a pretty darn hot car. And I think that's a bonus in some ways. I mean, this is better than a red one or a yellow one or any of those crazy colors that be Viper green or something like that, which would bring way more money and would arguably look better. But sometimes you want to fly under the radar rather than blaze through, setting off all the alarms.
So in 20 years, this interior will be worth money.
Yeah, that's true. So what do we think it's going to bring? What's the number?
I'm just gonna jump in here and say I agree with Wade. This car was really poorly spec'd. So with the GTS, you get these black knockoff wheels, and yet they went with a silver Targa bar. Like I just that to me is a swing and a miss. Like the Targa bar and the wheels don't go together. It's like wearing a white shoes and a black belt. It's also a 4-wheel drive car. And I think that's going to hold it back. Like if you're going to go GTS and manual and think like
they're all, you can't get a 2-wheel drive one of these. They're all-wheel drive ones.
If you go Targa, yeah. So I just don't think it's going to bring the crazy money. I just don't. So our car has 2 days till closes. It's sitting at $122,000 on 14 bids. I think that the bidding will stop on this car at $135,000. And if they're smart, they'll take that and run.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think this has got a ways to go. It's a Targa, and it's got super low miles, and I know it's boring spec, but go get a 991 GTS. With those are $200,000. So I'm going to say 149,991. What do you think, Wade?
Yeah, I think the spec's going to hurt it. I think this dealership is probably desperate. There's a reason why they dumped it on this platform. This should be a car that is
shot it in front of a fence.
Yeah, and exactly. They put it in their back lot, and they were
with
like,
Honda in the background.
Just get any pictures you can and put it online before the snow hits. Like
use the Auto Trader pics.
Yeah, exactly.
That guy's great.
Whatever we have is fine. I think it gets 139, and they should just take it and run.
All right, Mental, it's on you. What do you think?
Oof. All right. I feel like while it's quirky, quirky always has like a hard limit. So I don't think it's going to break 150. So I'm going to say 148,997 because those are the games we love to play. And someone's going to have a cool
997.
I'm sorry. Yeah. What am I doing wrong on this one?
You said it.
I said it. 997. Fine. But it is because the other thing that we're not talking about that I feel is going to hold it back to its market, but that we would love is it being a manual. Because people that want manuals want the flash and the super fast parts, not the quirky things. And then quirky people, they're going to want the PDKs. So it's
old man spec with 3 pedals. It is kind of weird. Yeah.
And in 20 years, when this show's still going and we've got almost 200 subscribers, we're going to see this car again. And but pictures are terrible. Platform absolutely perfect, but they should have spent the $1,000 and got a real photographer.
Yep. Once again. All right, guys. That is the culmination of our predictions for this program. Thanks for hanging out and trying to beat the nerds. Stick around or come back on Wednesday night. That's the night before. That's Thanksgiving Eve. We'll be back here. Maybe we'll bring a turkey or something. And we'll do some more predictions and we'll talk about how we did with these. And we love you guys hanging out with us. The Nerd Herd rocks it. Definitely makes this a heck of a lot more fun. Go talk to our friends God and Porsche, God and Classic. If you are looking for a classic Porsche and you don't see one on one of these auction sites, just give Steve a call and maybe he can find you one. And then Michael Deeb, if someone's got a car for sale, should they give you a call? What do you think?
Absolutely. Hit me up in the DM me or DM the platform to reach out. If I can help you sell a car on Hagerty MarketPlace, it would be my great pleasure. And if you have something really special, really high touch, we are taking consignments. We are accepting consignments for Amelia Island at the Broad Arrow Group Radius auction, the live auction, 2-day auction at the Ritz-Carlton in March in Jacksonville, Florida at Amelia Island. So just reach out to me and let's discuss any way I can help you out. Thank you.
Wade, where can we see your stuff?
Oh, something Tech Daily. If you want smartphone reviews, it's all the same. How about you, Mental?
You guys can find us at Everyone Racers. We're going to be talking. We're having our annual, as my co-hosts call it, Hippie Feels Thankfulness episode. So this week, if you're driving someplace, download Everyone Racers and listen to everything that we're grateful about. And hopefully that'll put you in a better mood to tolerate your horrible, horrible relatives.
Good plan. And there are hours upon hours of Bid Nerd episodes for you guys to pour over if you're drinking and want to avoid that uncle that just won't stop talking about inflation.
And I know that was a perfect cue for me to actually hit the goodbye, but I'm going to sell our friend JP out right now and say this. If you do want to shut that one relative up, you need to go check out Cars Unknown, because you can put that on your relative smart TV, and the photography is so wonderful. The topic is so wonderful, and it avoids nothing controversial. It will put everyone in your house in a good mood.
Thanks for the plug, Mental, except it's not available anywhere right now. We're going to put it up on a paywall here.
All right, well, then they should just go watch. They should just go watch the Rami show, and everyone will be like, "Oh, that guy's an idiot." All right, yeah.
Good plug, though. Love it. All right, guys, we'll see you Wednesday night.
Get those nerds!